Okay, so the way things I never thought I'd ever be doing in my life, but here I am. So we gotta do these pads, right? That we basically look like this in the package. And then what we're doing is we're putting them inside of this. Um, yeah, so these are, well, that's what they call them. My mom calls them pull-ups. And they're really actually like, Pampers or diapers. In Jamaica, we call everything Pampers because, it's like Kleenex, even though it's a brand name for tissue, even when it's not Kleenex, and then call it Pampers even when it's not Pampers because it's these, you know, pull-ups. So anyway, so what I have to do is I have to put this, so let me see if I can do this. There's somebody else holding the camera while I do this. Just you take it out, and then you open that up. And then what happens, so the reason I'm doing this now is because my mom used to be able to do it on her own. So which basically you're taking this and you're putting it inside there to give extra padding for absorption, right? And one of the things for my mother, one of the things she's had difficulty doing adjusting to wearing these is the fact that she really hates when she gets, she soaks, right? Or when she goes and then it, maybe goes a few times. So she really hates that. So for one of her responses in the early days was to just put on a ton of them. She'd sometimes have 5 of them on. She'd just put one on, one over the other, one over the other. So we'd see her walking around with like basic her bum sticking out and we'd think, oh, Mom, did you have a number 2, right? And she hadn't and didn't. And then even then we just realized if she had, it was quite, buffered by the amount of layers that she had on. So in any event, we discovered that's what she was doing. And also they kept running out. So we realized that what was happening. But then once she had more difficulty over the years managing it herself, we have begun to manage it for her. So at one point we were actually hiding the these pull-ups from her so she couldn't find them. And of course her thing was to always, when we would give them to her, she would even hide the ones we gave her and then say she didn't have any, because that was her little strategy to get more, and then she was still layering. So eventually we got really strict and only gave her one. I mean, she eventually got over that, particularly I think when we started to help her with this. So she used to be able to put it in by herself, but one of the tricky things is that you have to take off this strip, and then under the strip is then this sort of adhesive, right? The sticky stuff here, so that it basically sits in, when you put it in the diaper, it sits properly, right? And stays. So the only problem then that's been happening is that the caregiver has advised us that she's actually begun to like prepare these for her. So we used to just give her basically, in the past we just basically say, here, Mom, here's the pad, here's the thing, go do your thing. But then what's been happening lately is that she's been having difficulty putting it the right way. So then the sticky stuff, she puts sort of on the, she doesn't put this on the inside to stick on the thing. She puts it out like this instead. So then what happens, she's supposed to put it like that, but she ends up putting it like this. And then what happens then is then when she puts it on, it sticks to her, her vagina and to her skin, and it creates, irritation and then some tearing and some discomfort and pain for her. So, and sore. So basically she's, it's the evolution of her dementia where, some things become gradually more and more confusing as time goes on. So now we prepare it. So here I am doing it, thinking, what did I even know? Did I even read? Was I even really familiar with these? Except, because even I grew up at a time when me and my siblings were all pre-pull-ups babies. They didn't exist when we were growing up. Or maybe if they did, they just weren't in our lives. And then for the most part with my nieces that I spent most time with, either I wasn't around it or I think they were still using nappies. You remember nappies, those white squares that, you basically wash. And you had a nappy service, diaper service, who would come and take them and wash them for you and bring them back. So I think my siblings did some of that for a while. And then I remember we got into baggies, right? Literally we call them baggies or panties when all kids wore them. So boys and girls as kids wear them, women continue to wear them as panties, and boys we know wear briefs, which is just male panties really. But anyway, so that being said, I really became more familiar with these and intimate with these since my mother Because even when my younger nieces and nephews in Jamaica came along and wear these, I never really had to deal with it. But yeah, and I even sometimes had to help my mother put it on. So here I am, never having children myself, having the experience now with my mom. So let me see if I can actually do this with the camera on. Let's see if we can. Just show you how it's done and see if I get it right. And you might be watching going, you're probably doing it wrong. In fact, I decided, you know, the caregiver told me to do it. My sister said, yeah, you have to do it. But I have a funny feeling I'm not doing it right. So when my sister comes later today, I'm going to have her walk me through it. Hold on, let me see if we can do something here. Here, let me see if this works. I hope it works. All right, so maybe this is working. I think so. So basically, we put this in, right? And that side goes there. That side goes there. And then this goes here. Okay, I think I've got it right. Actually, no, I got it wrong. It's supposed to go, because this side needs to go where, yeah, the bigger pieces. This is where she's gonna probably sit with stuff. And then, yeah, my problem too is that I don't stretch it out enough and then it gets stuck. So I think I did a pretty good job here. I think it was pretty good, yeah. And it's flat against there. I mean, it's just, you know, she still has padding all around in it that will still absorb most of it. But yeah, so I hope that worked. Hope you saw that. I'll check, and if not, I'll do another one later. Or do it when somebody can hold the camera for me. The phone, which is a phone, really. So there it is. So I hope you saw that. And if you didn't see all of that, well, oh well, you heard me do it. So yeah, so now when you look in, yeah, you can see it in there, right? And I think it's in okay. Yeah, and so then she just takes it, pulls it on, and it all holds everything for her properly. And then she, you know, won't get the irritations. And I have to tell you, having a caregiver who has experience with, she was trained as a nurse, not, you know, so what, you know, unfortunately for those folks, but we benefit is that, you know, you get all these amazing skilled immigrant folks who come to this country and, you know, have all these other skills, but they got to grab a job, or what it means to get the equivalency to do the kind of work they did in other countries. In this country, it means that they, you know, either the cost of it, the time it's going to take, and they've got bills and kids and they're settling in and just they have to go through it all again. You know, it means that they take other jobs that are sort of, you know, complementary to what they learned and studied. So in a lot of hospitals, you know, and healthcare and social service environment, you've got a lot of doctors, social workers, all kinds of skilled folks who basically, you know, pivot and then use their transferable skills. So because our caregiver is a trained nurse, she is able to, you know, bring a lot of advice and lots of tips and strategies, which have really benefited my mother. My mother was having a lot of infections, regularly in hospital, almost every other week or so. And ever since the caregivers come, I think my mother, the only crisis has been, you know, she sometimes has very, her hemoglobin can be low, so she often will go, yeah, certain moments like that. And then she has this fainting thing that she's had ever since she's been a young woman, that apparently she managed really well away from us being aware of it, until now that we're managing her health, and it's become something that we are, every now and again she has moments of that where then we go for a checkup, but she rarely ever, if ever, has had to stay over in the hospital. She goes, she gets some fluids, she gets some blood work done, gets some transfusions, and then they release her. She comes home and she's good, right? So, and we have to say, all of that shift has happened with the caregiver who notices certain things, pays attention, advises us in strategies. So yeah, I just think we've been fortunate that way. Yeah, and of course my sister being a nurse as well makes a difference. I don't know how other people cope and make it through, but here we are. So that's the diaper thing, all right? And I guess I could have had this like this when I was talking, but you get the idea, right? I mean, it was a kind of cool thing for you to keep looking at the diaper, though. I did post a diaper genie, because that was one of the moments. My brother was the one, I think, who had that idea. Once he said, hey, why don't we bring the diaper genie? Because, of course, it was smelling up the house, right? And then with the diaper genie, you also have to buy those scented, treated plastic bags, because sometimes we run out of them, and then we don't use them. And it's still, diaper genie still contains the smell a bit, but boy, if you go near it, sometimes it's just like, whoa, yeah. So there we are. What do you call this? Is there, it's like tales in caregiving, adult caregiving, or caregiving for adult parents. All right. Ciao. Hope it helps if you know about this. Or just information. And if you never have to go through it, great. And if you do and have to, a little tip and strategy for you. Ciao. Yeah, so these are again, these sensitive care pads that go into these 10 out Pro Skin fully breathable underwear with them culottes. And then this stuff, oh yeah, she gets this too. It helps her clean herself up, especially if she hasn't had her personal care, shower and all that. All right, then I'm gonna do another one, so I have an extra one in hand. Because what we have to do, just to finish this off, what we have to do is I get these ready, and then I sort of listen out for her. So, well, now what I'll do is because she'd already just went and did a change, so gone to back in her bed. So what I'll do is I'll put one of these in the bathroom, with some. The other thing too, I'm busting all my mother's business, but because she also still has concern about that, being wet, and that she'll particularly, I think she has a caution about being wet and then, or soiling her clothing, right? So I think that's really her main concern. So she still every now and again will take toilet paper and put a ton of it inside this to absorb, or be another layer of absorption. But of course that's not good, because then if she sits with that for a while, even the diaper too, a wet diaper, it tends to cause infections, right? So again, the caregiver is the one who said, hey, only roll off a certain amount of toilet paper and leave. So when I put this down in the bathroom, I roll out a certain amount of toilet paper and I leave it with that, and then I also give her with some wet wipes, and that way she manages. Otherwise, this one, she was, using like 5, 6 of them, putting them on. We ran out of them really quickly, which is very expensive. And then with the toilet paper, somewhere in that toilet paper, we were just like, what the hell? Why don't we have any toilet paper? And that's what we discovered was happening. Because also what would happen too is that then she would, even now still, you find some of what you leave with her, you'll see a rolled up wet stack of it soaked in urine, just sitting in the garbage bin. I mean, she actually recognized that she needs to put her diapers in the genie, which she does on her own. But we probably have to advise her. And I think sometimes she just uses that to sort of, top up in any little dribble. That maybe she just puts that in there as well. But you know what? We just change the garbage. That's all we do. Yeah, there you go. Is there anything more I could say? Because I am kind of going on. All right. Later.